Okay, now copy that, put it in a note, save, close. Put it in my notes folder. Oh, no, undo. Or not, apparently not. Okay. Copy. Instagram. I'm gonna take a selfie. Let's do a selfie. Shameless self-promotion. Okay. Alright. I think we're ready to do some video. Let's get into it, and then when people arrive, we can go from there. As you can see, there's a little Spotify thing down here, which is the song that you can hear. I'm really hoping, I'm supposedly playing a playlist that means I won't get in trouble for playing music. Feel free to tell me if that's the wrong volume, but otherwise hopefully you'll be able to hear me over the top of the music in the background. We will see. But yeah, so let's get into this. This should be fun. Let's adjust this a little bit. Put Spotify down so I can have volume up a little bit. Not condensed so much. Okay. Let's go. Let's do a thing. We're gonna go main screen. If I put that little man on a toilet. Google Keep. We don't want that. We don't need that one. We don't need Instagram giving us some sauce. Let's start off in Lightroom. Yeah, we're gonna open up Lightroom. Welcome to my desktop. As you've noticed, it's quite bare. I don't like having a lot of things on my desktop. It's a bit plain. Anyway, this stream is very basic. I don't have any counters or anything yet. We'll focus on the content. We've got a little Spotify window just down here, and so you can hear the music. Aside from that, we're gonna get into it. So, okay, Lightroom. I have, nope, I don't want to flag that as a pick, or whatever, I will flag it as a pick. So this is a shoot I did for a bunch of different DJs a little while ago. Most of them are edited now, but there's a few I have left to edit, like this photo. I've picked the ones I need. As you'll see here, we've got a couple with little white flags on them. Those are picked, so we can just filter by the picked ones, which are the ones that they have picked, that I've sent to them all the barely edited versions, which gives a lot of less work for me, because then I don't have to edit all of the 600 and something photos I took. I can just give them the 5 each that they wanted. So we'll start some real basic ones. I've already done a lot of the Lightroom edits for these, where, well, that was an edit of itself that we started with, but they were obviously underexposed. The balance wasn't great. They're a little bit harsh on the skin. I've corrected the white balance mostly, which gets it pretty close. I like to have them a little bit warm anyway, but yeah, so we've got that. It's nice and pretty well balanced. Exposure's nice. We do obviously have a cloth background, so we've got to fix that up. We're going to do a little bit of skin retouching, and a lot of this is pretty automated and simple these days, which is beautiful, to be honest. I'm very glad that I've worked out how to make this stuff easier. I'll admit I did pay a little bit for these things, but you know, necessities. I'm gonna put on this little program as well, so you can see the keystrokes I make. They'll appear down here as well. Let's get that moved just a touch, so that way you can see the keys a little better. We're gonna put them. Don't go away. Margins. How? I'm gonna make them appear a little bit higher from the screen. Make them appear a little bit longer as well. Let's see how that goes. Save and exit. Okay, that didn't make it any further away from the edge of the screen. It's fine. Okay, you can see the keys that I'm typing. It's all good. We'll work it out from there. Alright, so we're going to push Control E. When we're in Lightroom, that's going to open this in Photoshop. And then when it eventually opens in Photoshop, we're going to leave Lightroom open so we can come back to it later. It'll save any edits if I do save them in Photoshop, which for these kinds of things I don't tend to do anyway, but I'll explain later. So, super useful thing that I found a little while ago, was recommended to me by another photographer, is this Retouch for Me panel. Now these plugins are expensive. They're about $200 Australian each, but they last forever. You know, there's no ongoing costs. I've bought a few of them. Heal, which fixes skin blemishes, pimples, that kind of thing. Dodge and Burn, which beautifies the face a little bit, smooths it out slightly. You can usually control this. Fabric will smooth out any wrinkles in the shirt. I turn that down usually, but you'll see. And then Clean Backdrop does what it sounds like. It cleans the backdrop usually. You can choose these manually one by one, but we're just going to hit Retouch. This will do some pretty basic settings. It'll split them into layers as well, so I can turn them off, modify the strength of each of them separately. And yeah, so this will separate out. It's thinking now. We've got a little processing wheel while it does this. But very shortly, you'll see everything updated. I'll show you the differences that each of them makes. This saves me so much time when I'm editing large batches of things. You can automate them as well, actually, so I can set this, I can export a bunch of photos from, for example, a wedding or something similar, and it will automate this. It'll just open one photo at a time, do the edit it needs to do, and then close it. As you can imagine, it's not particularly refined, but it does save a lot of time overall. Put it on a lower setting and go from there. So, look, before and after from just the automatic settings. It's subtle. I'm sure you can see probably some of it, but we've got obviously his shirt. It's got a lot less wrinkles in it. We've got... Is that... Oh, there is dots on the screen. I thought they were on my actual screen. Okay, we're going to push J. We are going to remove those little dots. Hey, no, oh, wrong layer. There we go. Bam. Bam, those are annoying. Alright, so, hold Alt, click on that one, it'll show you everything all at once, turn it all off and on. Okay, now in doing that, I'm not a particularly big fan of how much it's smoothed out the fabric. It does look good, but it looks a little bit unnatural. So we can turn that opacity about half, so that there is some wrinkles, but they're not as obvious. The Clean Backdrop worked pretty well. It's got most of the wrinkles out. We've got a few down here, a little bit to work on, but otherwise that's quite good. So I'm going to leave that how it is. We can refine that one soon. The heel layer is a little bit hard to see because it is, when it's done well, subtle. But as you can see if we zoom in, mostly on his skin, there were some blemishes. They're minor, little bits and pieces around, that it gets rid of most of them. It's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job. What we can do is we can also turn this one off, and you can see all of the healing. Oh, it's fabric. This one. And you can see all of the spots where it has done some healing replacements on the skin. There's a few that gets missed. It's not perfect, but again, it saves a bunch of time when you're doing a lot of this work. And then finally, we've got Dodge and Burn. Again, it focuses mostly on the skin. It's not perfect. It looks for orange or yellow colors. If you have color grades or any kind of weird colors in your photo, it won't detect the skin at all. But we can turn that off and on again. And again, very, very subtle. It just brings out some of the darker patches, lightens them up. You can obviously change the settings to be stronger, but again, we can turn this all off. You can see just little bits where it's lightened particular areas and left the rest pretty much untouched. So this is on a low setting. We could turn that up if we wanted to. But look, for a one-click solution so far, that's got me a lot of the way towards where we want to be. So what we're going to do now that we've got the fabric turned down and everything's where I want, select all your layers, Control E, merges those together. Super useful. Now we've got back to the same background as we started with, but with those edits. And that's all we've got. Now, just for a safety layer, I tend to duplicate that after we've done that, so we can then get into editing this one, doing what we want, and just in case I mess something up really bad, there's the background that we have untouched. So, now we've got the background layer, we're going to do a couple extra little bits and pieces. Go back to J, this is going to do the healing tool, or the replace tool, so that's going to spot remove some of those extra little bits that we missed. Okay, and then we can turn that off and on again. It's showing the very minor differences between those. Simple's easy. White balance is not bad. Probably, again, for me, a little bit on the cold side, but so far it's pretty where you'd expect the colors to be. The background had a spotlight there as well, so that's why it's a little bit of a different color than the rest of the background. That's mostly from the back. The main thing is the light on him is a pretty color where you'd expect it to be. We still have this blur in the background. There's a few ways that can be fixed. We've got a little shirt tag here. We can just go ahead and remove that with the spot remove tool. Really handy tool. So from here, we've got a few things we want to do. Mostly fix this background, and then we can go from there. From here, we've got this layer selected. We've got edit, we've got filter, retouch for me, and then clean backdrop. This will be the simplest way if it does work. This is a panel where you can add an extra refinement to the automated system that it would do. So from here, it does an automatic scan. You can choose the thickness or the sensitivity of the refinements in the background, which is so helpful. I usually put it on medium for things like fabric because it's actually normally looking for dirt and dust on a studio back wall, like it's usually painted. So that's the main focus. The fabric, it doesn't ever get perfect. You could preview exactly what it's changing. So now we got these little green spots here. That is where it's actually making some kind of change. It's also got auto mask where it selects the subject. It's not perfect. Sometimes it doesn't get the subject right. But if you see we turn that off, all of a sudden it thinks that his shirt and all the fabric there is what we want, so which is not accurate. So yeah, from here we hey Nas, how you doing? Oh, maybe I'll take some pics later. We can edit them. But you're already beautiful. I've got nothing I'd have to do for you. But yes, then we got this. So we put the auto mask back on, so it's not affecting his shirt. Sometimes it's useful if there is actually things in the shirt that we want to do. But then you can just see it before and after of what it is affecting, mostly around this corner here. Hit apply. It's going to make a mask if we turn that off. So if we want to just apply it straight to the layer without making any masks. So that's got us most of the way there. Again, still a little bit to do, but we can then refine that edit. We've got the heal tool, we've got the pads, what's it called? I forgot this bloody tool's name. Spot move, which isn't doing a perfect job, to be honest. It's getting information from the wrong place. Let's go to the AI removal tool. Let's see if it does it any better. Basically, you're in Photoshop, push J, it's going to give you some kind of remove tool. It's pretty close. It's smooth. There's no ripples in the fabric. That's the main thing we're after. Now, what we want to do is make the background more consistent in color as well. I'm not a huge fan of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to select subject. From select subject, it's going to automate and work it out. Now, from here, while we've got this layer selected, Control J, duplicates just the subject we've selected. That's going to protect that from anything that we do to the background, which is going to be super useful because now we're going to edit the background. Just to be simple, it is going to put that edit on top of what he would be in skin color and everything. So if we desaturated everything, he's going to become desaturated too. It's fine. So we're going to undo the desaturation because we've got that layer. It won't matter because that's going to apply the color on top. So from here, we're going to then, we're going to desaturate not everything because we want some color to come through, a little bit of that blue, grab a little pick here, reduce some of that blue color. And that's going to match a lot more of the background in terms of saturation. That one, I believe, technically yellows. There you go. If we put 100%, you can see it's technically yellow, but it's also not very saturated there anyway. Once we've done that, we then want to... Well, we're going to add more blue to the background anyway. I know we just removed it, but that's just purely so it becomes consistent. get your RGB curves in the adjustments. We're then going to grab the little finger tool again, drag colors up. Well, actually, this one we don't need the finger tool, we're just going to do this. And as you can see, it's making the whole background blue, but not the subject. It is a subject, but that's what we have that extra layer. Nice. From there, we've got a nice blue background, slightly more even than if we hadn't desaturated it before. I also want to get this dark patch here lightened up a bit, because that's just drawing my eye away. So same thing, this curves that we've got here, RGB. Now we can use our finger, drag up that dark patch, and you'll see that it selects that area here. We're just going to lighten that just there, but then it's also lightening the rest, so we're going to pull that down back to where it was, so it's around about there or so. If we turn that off and on again, you can see it's a little bit blue, that's a little bit lighter in that corner. There we go, it's pretty much the first guy's edit done. His skin's fine. Again, we're not doing anything crazy, this is just a studio shoot that you can use for promotion, so that's a nice place to go. So from there, we want Control-Shift-Alt-S. It's going to let us save the file, export that one in nice high res. Hit save. We don't want to change any of these settings, they're already in high JPEG. Find my folder, many folders that I have. This was a project for Black Fox, and this guy was called Dylan, so we'll make a new folder. Alright, I'm going to save Dylan's photo in there. That's it, photo's done, photo saved. From here, save the photo. We could save this Photoshop file if we wanted to. I'm not particularly interested in saving a Photoshop file, so we just Control W, that'll close this file without saving. And then switch back to Lightroom. I've got that edit done. On to the next, Control E. Let's take it to Photoshop. Let's go. Alright, we're in Photoshop again. We're going to start off with the simple AI retouching to begin with. We'll get that begun. Start that one. From here, it's going to do a nice long think while the AI scans through the image, so we can just chill out, take our time, let this all do its work. Still thinking, still chilling out. Alright, that's all Dunsky. Sorry, I'm looking at my stream settings while we're here. That's fine, we don't need that. So, now, AI done again. It's a good start. Again, I'm not happy with the fabric that's on his shirt, but it's got rid of most of the wrinkles. It's taken away some of his spots. So, let's tone down the fabric. Nice. From there, we're gonna pretty much leave the rest of it how it is. Healing's got us mostly there. Let's merge that into one file. Alright, let's get this background refined. Filter. I have no idea what this music is. This is a very video game. This is pretty much the soundtrack to my brain most of the time. Oh, no, definitely don't want blue to be affected by that. We want this one. And we can merge these together so it applies those effects. Nice. That's a bit more consistent. It's not perfect, but it's fine. And then we always can do some particular layers as well if we want to check things like the luminosity. Definitely recommend getting some special layers. So this will basically black and white the whole image, so you can just check only the color as it's viewable. Recommend zooming out so you can see some changes more obviously if you need them. So we've got luminosity layer, we've also got a saturation check layer. Turn that one to absolute, and then basically you'll see if there's any big saturation differences in the shot. So for example, on his nose, the black is low saturation, white is quite high. So all these black ones, there's a dot on his nose that isn't very saturated. It's probably a highlight, like a white spot. And then on his skin as well, you can see that there's a highlight here, which is also less saturated because the light's shining on him. This is not too bad, but generally if you do some pretty drastic edits, you can see if they're in the skin, there's unexpected patches where the saturation is higher than it should be. So let's turn that off. Yeah, so you can see that there's a highlights where there's less saturation because it's just whiter. But we'll get away with that. That's not bad at all, so we can delete that. And then we can do a hue check as well. And again, this basically just makes the saturation 100% across the whole image. So that way you can see if there's any massive hue changes. You'd expect eyes to be blue, you expect skin to be orange, but it at least lets you know where you've gone wrong and helps identify things, especially in backgrounds where they're all supposed to be quite white. This is where you can now see that it's that autofill has not made it perfectly the same hue as the other ones. But no dramas, this will do for us for this photo. Save. And then we close. And back to Lightroom. Ooh, I'm sneezing. Never mind, we're good. Now, we're a little bit darker in this image, so we're going to brighten that up a little compared to the others. Okay. So make sure the white balance is consistent between them also definitely helps. Alright, now let's begin again with our cheesy retouch. Still processing. There we go, we're done, we're ready. So this clean backdrop had a lot more work to work out. So we've got it done a pretty good job for the detail in the background. That's true, but also there's a lot missing here. It's missed out obviously that quite big spot there. There's a big shadow that needs to be worked on, as well as some of the finer detail. But it's fine for a beginner. That's real good. Fabric did a pretty good job this time. It didn't take all the details out, but it took some of the most important bits that needed to be refined. So I'm quite happy with those. And of course, Heal and Dodge and Burn do a great job 99% of the time, so I've got no concerns there. So let's double those, layer, filter, retouch. We get back into that clean backdrop. Okay, let's have a look. So now I suspect I might actually get something out of the auto mask in this because of the texture of the shirt. So if we look in here, little preview, see how it's detected all of that texture in there. So we're back and forth between those two. Now I won't want everything there taken out because we still want to leave some detail in the shirt, but it's definitely helping out with some of that texture as well. That's not helping anything, but it's fine. That's low. That's when it's really high sensitivity as well, but if we just change the sensitivity, it should also change the way it interacts with the shirt. And to be honest, I like that less. But how's it doing with... It is picking up some more detail on the backdrop again, but it's still critically missing out this particular bit. For some reason it doesn't think that that's something that needs editing. So what I might do, I might run this 2 more times. One with the mask, because I don't want it to affect the shirt, and I'll do it again 1 more time with the auto mask off in the high sensitivity, and that'll run out on the shirt. And we'll see how that goes. Turn that mask off. And filter. Yeah, jeans. Alright, from here, there we go, so we can go back into the high sensitivity. Turn the mask off. Okay, and then from here, what's it done to his neck? Okay, yeah, we definitely don't want to work on his neck, but I do like what it's on the shirt. So apply that, and then we're going to mask it. We're going to apply. We're going to just take a little bit off the edge of what it's doing there, mostly out of his neck, but then otherwise. But what we're going to do, invert the mask so it does nothing, and then paint it in where we want it to affect him. And turn that hardness down a bit. Push X, it's going to make the white and black reverse, and then we're just going to do this, although that's opacity, and turn the flow down so it doesn't put 100% where it is. Opacity, I'm going to put it 60%. That's going to max out the amounts that the flow. So no matter how many times I paint over it, as long as I've held the mouse down once, it's only going to apply 60% of the effect across here. So let's just paint that in. Now we can before and after that one, and see. It's definitely reduced it, but it's not taken everything out. Let's do that one more time, one quick pass. Then here, we're going to opacity 100, get us really up, and get rid of what it's doing to his neck there. Oh sorry, no, we don't want to do that because we want to not apply it to his neck. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's not done everything. So this is the mask itself, it's not pure white, so that's pure white. So it's the whiter that is, the more of the mask gets applied. So that's fine. That'll work. We like that compared to the before. Minor differences, but devil's in the details, right? Okay, now from here we need to get rid of that for sure. So from here, I'm going to merge these two because this layer is only now doing that bit there. Merge those two. Push the J button a few times. It's going to get the AI move tool. Take out that little lump. I don't exactly mind that. I'm still in two minds about getting rid of that. We've got some wrinkles up here we need to remove. I don't like the darkness of this area. Get rid of that little wrinkle there. There's quite a few things that we could tidy up in here that the AI didn't take care of. But let's have a look. So we'll start with just the regular that I would do for the rest of the edits. Everybody here knows that you just fake it. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. All these fucking thoughts, they are not what I need anymore. I'm about to shut the motherfucking door on all you poor ass haters with your heads in the clouds, talking out loud so proud. You better shut your goddamn mouth. Alright, duplicate. From here, say it again. We're going to reduce those blues. One. That up quite a bit this time. So that's pulled away a lot of that shadow. It's quite a stark look, but that's fine. And we're going to add some blue across that whole thing. We can also then reduce that a little if we need to season it to taste without going back and changing all the curves. It's an improvement for sure. It's more consistent, less obvious shadows, the background's relatively smooth. I'll probably get rid of this consistency, so let's go back into the remove tool. There's a few ways we could do this. We could try the remove tool. It might get affected by his pants, but we've got alternatives, so let's see what it does first. It's actually not half bad. So that just ensures that his pants, again, are covered. It's not all the edits we're doing there aren't affecting him. Now for here, we've got this shadow because of the remove tool. We're going to try a cool little technique. We're going to select this, duplicate it, and again, he's protected, so we can't really mess up his layer. From here, because this is duplicated, this particular area here, we want to blur out the effect this black has. We don't want it to look obvious that it's different. So one of the ways we can do that is taking that one layer by itself. You're going to go blur, Gaussian blur, and do a really strong Gaussian blur, and it's going to push out all the detail across to the rest of the layer that it's above, because it's just a block of information there. So even higher, we're going to go 100 pixels, and there you go. See how all the detail in there is now been washed away, and that's been pushed. It's still a little bit darker than the area below it, but it's much more consistent. Now the reason it's probably dark is when I did that fill in, it had these layers activated, which has made it more blue. So look, there's a few things we can do then. In that case, we can we can redo this. So let's, it didn't take too long, so let's delete that, and we're going to refill this area in without the effects. And that's a lot less blue to start off with right from the go. So then from there, again, same thing, lasso, and this will be even less noticeable this time. We're going to make that layer, filter, blur, Gaussian, and once again it blurs out the edge of that effect. We can, for example, since this has also got a lot of detail in it that we might not necessarily want, can do the same thing. So take that there, filter, blur, and Gaussian, I don't know what you call it. Depends how much information we want to get rid of here. So that just takes a little bit of the texture off, and then it starts, as we increase it, to blend it away. entirely dependent on what you'd like to do. Let's push this curves up a little bit higher so it has more of an effect. Make it a little more blue. Okay. Something like that. Save. And the important thing that we want to make sure is that the edits we're doing are also consistent as well, because if he downloads each of these and they're very different, he may not be as happy. So let's go into this folder of his photos we've edited. I'm just going to look between them, check for any color differences, brightness differences. I know these two are a little bit darker, so we might want to boost those colors up a little. And then also, like, yeah, so he's definitely a lot brighter here, but I like the brightness. So yeah, we're going to boost the color, the brightness up in those two. Background color, the flash didn't pop behind him here, this brighter area. So what we're going to do is leave, we can't expect that to all be the same white balance, but he looks pretty good in each of them, maybe a little cooler in this one. That's fine, we're just going to brighten those two up, and I should be happy with those. So, to do that, we're going to, well, we've saved him, so we can close that one. We can just go back to that window where I was viewing those. Or actually, no, we'll just, oh no, because this is the CR3 files, that is going to open something we don't want. So we're going to go folder 2024, back to this still on folder, drag that slightly to the edge of my screen there. It is still there, just so don't get worried, it's there. Okay, and then we're just going to drag that across. This will open specifically the JPEG file that we already saved. And then we're going to do some simple things. Just a quick exposure layer. Add a tiny bit of exposure. There. I don't think I like that applying to the background, so we're going to select the subject and remove that effect from the background. So it's going to think that he is, apply that. Now, what we're going to do is, because we've got these two layers, hold Alt, click the border in between them, and then this applies only to this layer where we've got him selected. So if we turn that off and on, it just boosts him that little bit. Now, one thing I've noticed is it brightens him everywhere, but this is a little bit higher in the boost than I wanted. So instead of exposure, we're going to do curves, because exposure will apply everywhere. Curves, same thing, apply just the layer below. We're going to take this RGB little finger here, and we're going to pull up the darker areas, pull up those shadows just a touch, and then also pull these down just a touch. It's not really doing what I wanted, to be honest, which is annoying. Okay, in that case, one more different attempt. Control-Shift-A. That's going to open up the camera raw viewer just for that one layer. And here it's basically the same as Lightroom. We can change our different effects. So we're going to bring the shadows alone up a little, blacks down a little. It's going to bring up the shadows, but also still have that black point the same. And then also bring the highlights down a touch. And possibly whites up just a little. And then do before and after. Let's get exposure a little higher as well. A little bit more exposure. Sometimes it's hard to dial these things in. It really just depends what your reference is. Okay. Now if we were to put those two together, it's more consistent, but the blacks here are definitely more black and a bit cooler, but that's a side story. So what we're going to want to do is bring those blacks back down a little again. again, simplest way, bring it back into the camera raw viewer. Hit OK. And we're a lot closer now. Still a bit of brightness in his skin, but those blacks are still where they should be. Save. And we can just overwrite that previous one. It's fine. We don't need any more than that. Then we're going to do the same to this one. So in the end, select subject was what we chose. And then bring it to camera raw. And more importantly, we make a match with this one, which was already itself pretty close. So it's better, but we still are a little bit off from there. We'll bring that exposure again just a little higher, blacks just a little lower. How about that? Not that, that. Yeah, that's pretty close. Still think the exposure is a little bit low, but definitely close. Instead of bringing that to camera raw, let's just take this and apply that very gently. And yeah, technically this is degrading the quality of the JPEGs, but they're already very high quality anyway. It's not the end of the world. It's only when you start doing this many hundreds of times that we're going to see any big issues. Okay. Much more consistent. Still, that's a little bit more blue, but overall, a lot closer to where we want. Back to Lightroom. 2 to go. Bam, open this in Photoshop, Control E. Alright. Let's do it more. Bam. Okay, let's get this one done. So, this is again, it's getting a little bit worse with the background sensitivity, which is again fine. The perks of knowing Photoshop means that we can fix that ourselves. But this fabric's again overdone it, so we're just going to drop that down. Backdrop's done a good job, and the usual dodge and burn and so forth is fine. Okay, Control A, Control Shift E. Let's go combine every layer. Well, Control Shift E will combine every layer, Control A won't. That's fine. Still did what I wanted. Alright, remove these wee dots. Those provide nothing helpful. Little odd things here. He's got his hair, a little poof there. We just use the remove tool. I found the remove tool blends these little hair quiffs, I guess you call them, pretty nicely. Don't do too much more than that because it's always going to be quite zoomed out. Again, duplicate. Okay, let's check out what it's done. Change that sensitivity again. Still not done a lot. It is definitely sensing some bits of it, but nowhere near as much as I would like. No, don't like what it's under the shirt. Sometimes you get the win. Okay, apply, update. Looks like we're going to do a little bit more manual again. So, no, that's just deleted something random. Alright, gonna get rid of you. Gonna get rid of you. Try a bigger area so we can detect more of what we're removing. That was not helpful. It's fine, we'll come back to that another time. Get rid of these. This is honestly going quite terribly. That's fine. That's why we have contingencies. Now, J, the patch tool. One we haven't used yet. Take that, drag it up to another area that doesn't have that texture. And look, it's not perfect, but it's an improvement. We told it that we want a lack of texture in that area. Again, still not great, so we're going to use the we're going to use some different techniques to finish that off. It's fine. Select subject again. Duplicate that bad boy. Copy paste what we did before. Bring those blues down. And then I'm going to boost this stuff up. Get that shadow lightened. Make that not affected. Nice. Bring those blues up. Okay, then lasso tool. We're gonna blur out a lot of this. Actually, no, first control, we're gonna remove him from this one because I'm gonna be really rough with it. Selected the subject, control, if you click on there, that's because that's what he's done. But we still have this layer selected because that's what we want to actually affect. Take select, modify, expand. I had 30 pixels around him, so we got a little bit of space. Come down to here and then Control F, and that's gonna remove him from the image like that. It's not a great job, but it's alright. Remove that area because it's detecting this dark area and it's thinking, oh, that's what you want to fill in with, right? It's not. You want that bright area there. I want the light stuff. So they hit apply. It's gonna remove him. Eventually, when it's done thinking. Okay, alright, he's removed. Now, see? Now if we don't have this layer on, that's what it looks like. So we're going to just deselect everything. Now on this layer, we're going to go with the lasso tool. And again, he's going to be sitting in the top layer anyway, eventually. But then, I'm going to take this whole right area. There we go, the whole thing. Filter. Nope. Duplicate the layer first. Then, filter. Blur. Gaussian blur. Nice chunky Gaussian blur to blur out all those details. We don't want to get rid of all of it because, you know, he should have a shadow being in front of that. But there you go. It's looking a lot more realistic now compared to the original. Alright, we can look at that. So, from there, we got curves. A bit of blue added, it's lightened everything up. Actually like some of the saturation that was there, so we're going to avoid that removing so much. And then we save. Then we check, do we like this comparison? Colors are consistent, the background's about the same brightness, he's exposed about the same. There's not a stupendous amount of blue difference there. Shadows are pretty realistic. Nice, we can consider that a success. Close. Back to Lightroom. Okay, select our last image for this gentleman. See, yeah, he's still pretty consistent coming out of Lightroom here. Photoshop it is. Now before we do these automated edits this time, we're going to quickly remove our umbrella and then we get into the retouch. Yes. Okay. Let's have a look. What did that do? This one's not bad. I like what it's done to his shirt this time. It's more conservative. It still leaves some realistic wrinkles. This is nice. And of course, background is better, but not perfect. It's fine. All right, let's merge these. Start to refine it. Filter. Backdrop. Let's see how much else we can get out of a different setting. Yeah, that one doesn't. It helps a little bit for some really important parts, but it doesn't do a lot everywhere. That one seems to have better selected. It's got little bits up here now, more of that. And we're just going to have to refine the rest manually. It's fine, don't make the mask, save that to that layer. Okay, and from here, let's get to it. Totally forgot to separate our subject out, which causes potential for problems. So let's redo that. Then we're going to take our fill and fill it in. Better. Okay. Over here. We're going to use our patch tool again to smooth out these inconsistencies. I might not work with something so large. Let's redo that. Patch tool. There. Where the bloody did you get that information from? The truth is a damn hard pill to swallow. I'm reaching out, but all I feel is hollow. I wanna make you work, but all I do is make you worse. Better. The truth is a damn hard pill to swallow. Don't you wanna come on over? Don't you wanna work it out? Don't you wanna love me better? Let's move some of that blackness, but that's fine. Again, we can fix that. So now this area's got some refinement needed. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Same thing. because I've got a little bit of this shirt in there. It's going to be interesting. Oh, no, cancel. No, don't want that. We want to duplicate. Then, it's a blur. Nice. Much smoother. Happy days. There we go. Now, merge these. Get into our color edits. Nice, that was quite easy. Quite happy that it turned out. There's a little bit of moire here, which is interesting. Let's see if we can fix that. Yeah, it's coming out of actually the shirt. That's fun. Alright, let's get rid of some of these spots while we're here. Spot removal. Nice and easy. And then to get rid of this moire, there's a few ways. Easiest is probably just to go into camera raw and use the moire brush. Make a little layer. A layer as well as a brush. And the moire detail should be this one. What effects? There it is. All of the information here that I needed is not here. Should be able to detail. Wire reduction, there we go. The scroll isn't working correctly. Thank you, camera raw. Pain in my booty. It's fine. Okay, wire rate reduction. There we go. Now that we finally got there, we're going to scroll in on this shirt. We're just going to paint that on. And bam, just like that. All that colour, rainbows, stuff that happens. It's gone. Just like that. Don't worry. Save. Yeah. What are we gonna do? We're gonna check. Oh, I reckon they look pretty good. I reckon they look pretty good. Pretty consistent now. I'm quite happy with those. So happy, in fact, that I'm gonna call that a done job. It's done. It's done. We're happy. Just gonna close those off. Yes, I know there's that white balance difference, but otherwise, if it needs to be fixed, then they'll let us know. That is that one about done. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with that. Quite content. I got through those. Got a stream actually functioning now. A couple of visitors. But also I'm extremely tired and I've got work later, so I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna have a quick nap. Maybe I'll get back on a little bit and do some more edits after I'm refreshed mentally. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me for my first proper stream doing this, and hopefully before long we'll be doing this more regularly. You can come in, learn some things, and we'll be all the better for it in the end. The chat box hasn't updated. Let's refresh that chat box. Make that pull in chats that I've had come through. There we go. There was Nas. Nas popped in. He wanted me to make it beautiful. That's silly, man. He's already beautiful. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I will see you in the next one.